Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is the first of a session of business masterclasses that we'll be doing every month for business owners in the local community to help them to be making the best decisions in business so that their businesses continue to move on. So thank you for joining me on this session today. I'm going to ask you, first of all, actually, if you're joining me live, to type live into the comments box. If you're joining me on replay, type replay into the comments box. Just want to know where you are and where you're from. Put any comments in there. I'd love to hear from you. Any questions as we go through the session, more than happy to have them from you. So we do this on the first Monday of each month. And believe it or not, this is the first Monday of March, even though we seem to be quite a way into March. So our session today is about something that's really important to most business owners out there, and that's about recruitment and about getting our recruitment strategy right. For many business owners, it's a bit of a struggle out there. We're in a full employment marketplace, and getting the right people seems to be impossible. Is that right? Does that seem impossible to you, to get the right people, or to get them at the right price? Possibly is an issue, or maybe keeping hold of the people in your business is an issue for you. Whatever your issue is in recruitment, we're going to cover it this morning, and just going to help you to get the right mindset around finding and keeping the best people out there. Let's just start with something really simple, actually. How many people are you looking for? There may be some of you out there that are looking for a team. You're recruiting a team of 5, 10, 15 people. That's quite rare in the small to medium enterprise world in which we operate in, which I operate in anyway. Most people are looking for one person, usually, just one new team member. And they struggle to get hold of that one team member. Oftentimes, our mindset turns to believing that it's impossible to get that team member. You just can't get the staff. But really, is it really impossible just to get one person? We're only looking for one person. Is it perhaps we need to change our mindset and understanding as to where we are in our business? Let's just start actually with the nuts and bolts of it all. How much do you think it cost you to get it wrong in the first place? I've got a number on the screen here. Tell me if you agree with this number here. £18,000. It's just an average number that I put out there. If you get your recruitment wrong, if you rush it, if you just employ somebody that's a neighbor, somebody you bumped into, if you'd had an interview process and only 1 or 2 people turned up and you picked one, a choice of 1 out of 2, and you got it wrong, how much does it cost you? Well, if you get it wrong, I'm going to hazard a guess it cost you about £18,000. And I'll tell you why it cost you about £18,000. Because if you get it wrong, you're not quite so sure if this is the right person. You take them on in any case, you've spent money in recruiting them, and then you have them in a 3-month trial. Is that right? Yeah, a 3-month trial. And over the course of those 3 months, you decide on whether it's the right person. You're not quite sure. You get to the end of the 3 months and you think, you know what? I'm not quite sure. I'm going to extend your period just a bit longer. So you push it out for another 3 months. So you spend another 3 months thinking about whether to keep this person on or to take them on or not. And then probably around about 4, 5, 6 months in, you decide, yeah, this isn't the right person. And oftentimes there's a bit of procrastination there. We have to start looking for somebody else to fill in the role before we move this person on who isn't the right person. They're costing us money. Does that make sense? Whatever you're paying this individual, at this point in time, you've paid for their recruitment. You've paid for half of their salary. And now we have to go through the whole process again, another 5 or 6 months. Can you see why I've come to this figure of £18,000? Let's say on average, we're paying somebody £25,000. We're looking at spending 6 to 9 months faffing, getting the wrong person, bringing somebody else in new, paying 2 recruitment fees and paying that person over the period of time. Can you see that? It's costing us money to get this recruitment process wrong. And then we have to go through the whole process all over again. So it's really important that you get your recruitment process right, isn't it? And particularly if you're looking in a marketplace now where you're thinking possibly, I'm going to have to pay more for these people out there. Well, let's get our mindset right in terms of whether we have to pay more for people out there. I'm going to just draw something up here for you, which is going to help you to just consider where you are in terms of the recruitment process, how you go about recruiting people. You see, what is your mindset? What is your skill set actually when it comes to recruiting people? Let's have a look at your skill set when it comes to recruiting people. You see, if this chart here were to represent your potential, what we got down here is 0 as your potential as a business owner in understanding how to recruit people. At the top here, we've got your full potential, 100% potential. Where would you place yourself on this chart? Are you at 100% of your potential? I'm going to ask you to excuse my shocking drawing as I try and use this bit of software here. Are you at 100% of your potential? I think most business owners would admit that they are not at 100% of their potential. Typically, around about here, about 80% of our potential. That's where most people would find themselves. So what's getting in the way? What's stopping you from hitting your full potential? Well, this gap here, what's in the way is normally something that we call interference. Interference is what? Interference is the stuff that perhaps we don't know. Maybe there's a lack of knowledge. Interference could involve our mindset in terms of what we believe to be true at this current moment in time. So here's an example of that. We may currently believe it to be true that it's difficult to get the people that we want, or it's impossible to get the people we want, or people want more money than we want to pay or are able to pay them. So interference is what's getting in the way. Does that make sense? This is what's getting in the way here of us reaching our full potential. So what we need to do is just accept that in this matter of recruitment, it could just be that we need to improve our skill in terms of how we recruit people within our business. Okay, there's a gap between what we want, how good we are at recruiting people, and how much we've been taught up to this particular point in time. And typically, most business owners have never ever been trained in how to recruit people. That's probably you. You've never been trained in it. You've just sort of, it's trial and error. Let's give it a go and work out how best to do it. So that's our first lesson. Our next lesson in terms of how we go about recruiting people and getting it right is illustrated here. Let me just draw this up for you here, an illustration here for you. It's illustrated by this point here. This point here, this little golden point here, represents your ability, my ability to make choices in life. You see, when it comes to choices in life and in business, we can have one of two attitudes. We can have that life is done to me or life is done by me. Does that make sense? Life is done to me or life is done by me. And it's a choice that you and I have to make as individuals. Is life done to me or is life done by me? Let me just explain. If we are below this point represents our power to be able to make decisions. When things go wrong in business or we're not able to recruit people, perhaps we blame the current job market. Or maybe we make excuses that you just can't find the people out there. Or possibly we're in a place of denial where we deny, for instance, that we don't have the skill set to recruit people in the right way. Does that make sense? I'm going to hands up from you out there if that's the case with you, that you oftentimes find yourself in a position where you're giving away your power. We call this being below the point of power. You're giving away your power to recruit in the best way possible because you're blaming the current job market. You're blaming the people out there that are looking for the work. You're blaming the recruitment agencies. You're blaming the government. You're blaming the current economic situation. We're making excuses, and maybe the worst place to be is in the place of denial. What we suggest that you need to do to get yourself into a really good place in terms of recruiting people is just to change your mindset, okay, and be above this point of power. There are three things you need to do. First of all, take responsibility. Don't pass on the responsibility for recruitment to anybody else. Don't pass on the responsibility for learning how to recruit people to anybody else. Respond. Have an ability to respond to what's happening at this moment in time. That's going to include improving your knowledge at this particular point in time. Take accountability. What do you think the word accountability means? What does it mean to you? Take accountability. Take accountability means to account, to look backwards. When you get your accounts from your accountant, you're looking backwards, not forwards, are you? Look back at what you've done in the past. Understand what you've done right, what's worked in the past, understand what you've done wrong. Take into account, have a look at what's happening in the past and understand what you need to change in the way in which you're doing things. And finally, take ownership of the situation. In other words, it's nobody else's responsibility. How your business turns out, the type of people you recruit within your business, how they perform within your business is entirely down to you, not to anybody else, but it's just entirely down to you. So ownership, accountability, responsibility is going to what we call put you above the point of power. If you choose to be below the point of power or stay below the point of power, you end up what we call being a victim. It's not a great place to be, is it? Because you're a victim of the current circumstances. You're a victim of the way other people are behaving. You're a victim, actually, usually of your lack of knowledge, if that's the case. If you decide instead to be above the point of power, you end up being a victor. Which would you prefer to be, a victor or a victim in this situation? I think we'd all choose to be a victor, wouldn't we? Rather be in a strong position where we're able to decide what happens in terms of the recruitment in our business, who we recruit, our level of knowledge, and the results that we get from that process and from the people. So that's the first thing that we need to take into account. Well, the second thing, actually, the first point, wasn't it, was to look at what we actually just know at this moment in time. And let me just introduce you to something else actually here that's really important when it comes to business. It's a principle that works across all of business. And it's particularly when it comes to recruitment. As you're listening to me right now, there's things that you do know about recruitment. There's things that you know about staff that have worked for you in the past. But do we know everything there is to know about business? Do we know everything there is to know about recruitment? I think most of us, if we're honest, we should put our hands up and say, no, we don't. I heard a story last week, actually, from a colleague of mine. His little son was 3 years old. And he was taking him to nursery every day, bringing him back from nursery. And his little son was looking up at him, holding his hands, telling him, Daddy, I learned this. Daddy, I learned that. Daddy, we did this today. And did you know this, Dad? And his dad's response to him was, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I know that. This happened a few days on the run. Eventually, his little son, his 3-year-old, turned up after school one day, started telling his dad things. His dad said, yeah, I know that. The little boy turned to his dad and said, Dad, do you know everything? Dad said, well, no. He says, oh. He says, because if you know everything, I don't need to tell you anything else, do I? I mean, quite a stab to the heart, to be honest with you. In other words, communication was going to be shut off between him and his son because his response was, I know. The truth is, when we say I know, maybe there could be something you're going to listen to this in this broadcast that's going to help you in your business that you could shut your mind off to. That could really benefit you. Those are the two most expensive words in business, I know. So what we encourage business owners to do when it comes to those words is to take a big red marker and mark that through, okay? And replace those words, I know, with, isn't that interesting? In other words, open up our mind to new possibilities. Understand that we don't understand everything. Yeah, there are things we know we don't know, but there's so much more we don't know. And if we take that lesson on board, what we'll find is we'll start to move forward in business, and particularly this area of recruitment. You can learn a few things in this session that will really help you, hopefully, to start to move forward in this area of recruitment. Okay, so let's move on to our next principle that's going to help us when it comes to recruiting people. This formula here, you may never have seen it before. This is what we call our formula for change. This is a formula which helps individuals to make a change. And what you're trying to do as an employer is help someone to change from working in one place to go along and work for you in your business. That's what you want to happen, isn't it? You want people to change, to move along and change from working where they currently are to come along and work with you. And that's not a small thing, is it? Changing your job is not a small thing. They have to leave where they currently are, where they're comfortable, and they have to come across to you as a new business owner, get settled into your business. So what this formula does is it demonstrates what we need to do. On the right-hand side of the formula is what we call R. That's R. R means resistance. So if you're making notes, R is resistance. So generally speaking, as humans, we're resistant to change. So those people that you're looking to employ are resistant to change. The D and the V in the formula are the ways in which you help them to make a change. Okay. Everything to the left of the R must be stronger than the R, must be greater than the R to make them change, to break down that resistance. So the D and the V represent this. D represents dissatisfaction, and the V represents vision. So dissatisfaction and vision. So if you make a note of those, dissatisfaction times vision. So what we need to do is help them to understand where they currently are. Are they satisfied? Usually they're dissatisfied. There's something they're not happy about that we need to bring to their attention and help them to appreciate they can make a change for them. And then the vision is the new thing that they can have. So dissatisfaction times vision plus F. F is the first steps. This is the first thing you need to do. Pick up the phone, speak to us, send in an application form, send us your CV, whatever it is that you need to do. Add those together, they must be greater than resistance. Does that make sense? Dissatisfaction times vision plus your first steps. This is the first thing you should do. Let's make it easy for you to start to make a change. It's a formula which we use to help business owners to understand how to make individuals make a change. And if I can just demonstrate it for you here, we got these stick a couple of numbers in it here for you. If my dissatisfaction is 10, but I have no vision, but I have first steps of 7, what we've got is a total score of 17. You're not going to shift me to make a change if you're trying to get me to a score of 100, are you? Does it make sense? What we need to do is get you to have dissatisfaction of 10, vision of 10, now we're scoring 100, plus first steps, even of just 5 maybe. And what we've got to figure of here is 105. That makes sense. So if our resistance is 100, these numbers here need to add up to a number greater than the resistance that we currently have to moving across. Now that's the formula. Let's just think about what these words, how these words make us feel. Resistance. What does resistance involve? What emotions do you think come up with resistance? What emotions do you think when people are resisting? Why would people resist coming along to you? Are they perhaps a little bit afraid of coming across to you? Is there a bit of fear there involved with those individuals? Yeah, possibly. A lack of security, possibly, because they don't know what they're going to get into when they come across to you. You can see there's emotions involved here. Let me just change that back. We've got emotions involved here in making this decision to come across to you. What about these first steps? Is that an emotional thing that we've got to do? You know, I've got to put an application in, I've got to send my CV, I've got to make a phone call. Probably not. What we got with this section here in the middle is logic. I just need to do something. Does that make sense? I just need to do something. What do I need to do to make this change or to start to make this change? How about dissatisfaction and vision? Are they logical or are they emotional? Feeling dissatisfied as to where I am, not happy with my boss, not happy with my working hours, not happy with my pay. Is that emotional or logical? Emotional, isn't it, when we go to dissatisfaction? And how about vision? I'd like a better job. I'd like to work less hours. I'd like to be home a little bit early. I'd like better holidays. I'd like more pay. Yeah, they're emotional too. So, can you see what the big factor is here when it comes to helping people to move from where they currently are to come along and work with you in your business? This is important. This is really important. What's most important, emotional logic? Well, the logic is the things that I need to do. The emotion is the reasons why I want to move. The emotion is what I will get when I move. And the emotion is what's maybe stopping me from doing that at this moment in time. Does that make sense? It's an emotional decision as to whether I move from one place to another. A really important tenet for you to grab hold of when it comes to understanding how to find the right people in your business. In 1943, Maslow put forward this. You may have heard this before, Maslow's hierarchy of needs here. And what Maslow understood was that as human beings, Right at the top of our pyramid of needs is self-actualization. These are the emotional elements. At the bottom are the logical things that we need in life. We need our physiological needs filled. And there are people around the world right now who just logically just need, where's the water? Where's the food? I need some warmth and some place to rest. I also need some safety and security. I need a roof over my head, somewhere to live. They're logical needs. We just need to fulfill those logical needs. Once we have those fulfilled, we then move up to filling our emotional needs. And we fill our emotional needs by a feeling of belonging and love, having our needs for esteem filled, getting some prestige, feeling a sense of accomplishment in what we're doing, and then self-actualization, which is just achieving our full potential, including our creative drive and our creative activities. So can you see that as we're made up as human beings? Well, how are we made up? Well, the logic is just, have you got what I need? Do I have the basics? And then we move on to emotion. We are actually emotional beings as human beings. So to help people to change, we understand that emotion is involved, not just logic. And as human beings, what we're really looking for is some sort of fulfillment, because do you know what? Generally speaking, our job is just a vehicle for our life. And we want to fulfill the things that we want to do. The money that comes from our job isn't that important. It isn't that important. Now, you're probably thinking, we're going to have to pay over the odds to find the right person. I'm going to help you to get the right mindset around that, okay? Because what the individual actually needs is their emotional need fulfilled by the work that they do. So bear that in mind as we just move through this, just helping us to find the right people in our business. What we've got is a battle between logic and emotion, okay? So which side of the coin do you think most job adverts fall on, logic or emotion? How about your adverts, the adverts you've been put out there? You know, when you're looking for somebody, are you falling on the side of your logic, or are you trying to fill the emotional needs of the individuals that you're looking to work for you? Probably hazard a guess most business owners don't give a second thought to filling the emotional needs of those that are coming to work for them. They're looking at the logical side. Is what is the job? What's the job description? What's the job advertisement? How much are we going to pay the individual? How many hours will they work? Does that make sense? So we, generally speaking, focus on that. And that's exactly what goes in the advert. Not necessarily the emotion. But we just established that as human beings, we're emotional beings. And to make us change, well, we have to overcome some resistance, which is usually emotional. And we have to fulfill their desire to whatever it is that they want in life, okay, whatever their vision is in life. And we have to also assuage whatever is dissatisfying them in life. The logic is just a small step in the middle. It's just the first steps that we have to take to help them to move along. So what does this what does this all mean? Well, this helps us to get over something which is a bit of a barrier to recruiting the right people within our business. We may think that the answer to it all is money. That if we pay people enough money, they'll be motivated to move from where they currently are to come along and work for us in our business. Well, what I'm going to tell you is that money isn't a motivator. It isn't about the money. That's not why people are going to move. It's not about the money. What we need to do is just pay enough to take the question of money off the table. Now, you're probably wondering in your head, maybe arguing with yourself or arguing with me there as to, well, money is a motivator, isn't it? People will only move if you're going to pay them the right amount of money. Do you know what? I'm going to agree with you to a bit, but I'm going to argue the point that money isn't a motivator. It's not a motivator. Give an example. If I was to take a pound of butter, stick it on the table in front of you and ask you to eat it, would you eat it? Would you eat it? There, it's a pound of butter. Would you eat it? No. Okay. Probably for all sorts of health reasons, you probably wouldn't want to eat it. Okay. But how about if I offered you £10,000 to eat that pound of butter? Would you then pick up a knife and fork and start eating the butter? Are you motivated to eat the butter? Or have I influenced you to eat the butter? Which one is it? Yeah. You see what side we're coming out on here? Okay, I haven't motivated you because you still don't want to eat the butter. I can't motivate you to eat the butter with the money, but I've influenced you with the money. So money is an influencer It's not a motivator. In other words, money is part of the equation. It isn't the whole equation. So what we need to do is take money off the table. And the way we do that is just to pay enough, just enough, the right rate to take the question of money off the table. What are they currently being paid at this moment in time? What is the market rate to get decent people? Let's pay that right amount of money. Okay. And then we move on to the next stage. We need to create what we call emotional engagement with our audience. So take the money off the table. It's not going to motivate them. Okay. It's just got to be roundabout right. There are many other things that people want. Okay. We looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. After we fulfilled their basic needs, okay, the physiological needs, safety and security, okay, we fulfill those needs, which is what the money does, because that's all most individuals want. They just want enough money to pay their bills and to give them the standard life that they have within their community. Okay, there may be a few outliers out there who are flying, high flying, and they want to run off and make more and more money. Well, okay, are they the right people for you? They're probably not. You're looking for the individuals who are looking for enough to live right now in the community in which they live. Okay, take the money off the table. Then we move up to creating some belonging for those individuals. You see, what they're interested in is your culture. They want to know what is different about your business to the other businesses that they could be looking to work for. They want to know what's different about your business to the business that they're currently working in right now. You see, if we try and recruit them on the basis of money, they're just comparing us with the current employers. That makes sense. It's a comparison. If instead what they see is the values that we have within our business, if we're different, if we're showing how we are different as an employer, why it's different here, why it's better to work here, now they're coming across on the basis of value. It's not about the money. It's about your culture. So what is your culture? Do you have your culture written down in your business? Have you got very clear as to how people behave in our business? What sort of people we're looking for in our business? How about the next element of self-esteem? People need to have a feeling of prestige, and they need to feel valued. So what drivers do you have in place in your business that will meet the needs of the individuals in the particular role that you're looking for? Do you know what it is that they're looking for? Do you know what emotional drivers you need to fulfill for those individuals? Have you given that some thought? So first of all, our culture. What is our culture? What's different about where we are? Why they'd want to leave where they are to come across to us? Secondly, what are their drivers? What do they want? What do they need to feel fulfilled in what they're doing? And finally, self-actualization. What is it that we can do that helps them to feel incredibly engaged with what you do as a business? That their role within your business is vitally important. How do they feel that they can add to your business? And then in the same way, add to themselves? How will they feel fulfilled as an individual? Self-actualization, the top of that pyramid. Believe it or not, that's what people want when they come into work. They don't just want to be churning out cherries on top of cakes. The individuals you're looking for, they want to be able to feel that they're making a contribution. And that's only going to become possible if you spell out what your vision is as a business, what the purpose of your business is. Okay, so for example, anybody coming along to work for me and my business here at Action Coach understands that our vision is world abundance through business re-education. We're helping individuals who are running their businesses to have abundance, an abundance of whatever they want, whether that be time, money, their emotional needs fulfilled through their business because they have more time to do the things they want to do. We help them to get that abundance by re-educating them in business, such as we're doing this morning now. Okay, so we have a strong feeling of abundance. Anybody who comes to our business has to take ownership of that and have a feeling of, yeah, I want to contribute towards that and help business owners to have a better life too. So create emotional engagement with the individuals that you're looking to take on by giving them a sense of belonging, sense of self-esteem and self-actualization. Explain to them what your culture is, how you're going to fulfill their drivers, and what your vision and purpose is, so they are bought into it. This is particularly important if you're looking at recruiting young people these days. So when do you tell them all this stuff? When do you tell them about all this stuff? When do you think? When do you think you should tell them all about this stuff? Well, it's going to be right at the beginning, isn't it? Right at the beginning of the process of engaging and to take them on as an individual. You need to be spelling this out in your job advertisement, and it is an advertisement. You need to let them know. You see, the truth is, recruitment is actually marketing. So I want you to take on a new mindset here now, that recruitment isn't just about, how much we're going to pay them, how many hours are going to work, what's their job, when did they start, when did they finish, how many holidays do they have. Recruitment is about marketing. It's about advertising your business in such a way that it hits those emotional needs of those individuals that you want to come along to work for you. Why do we want to hit their emotional needs? This isn't about manipulation. This is about people being happy in their work. And if they're happy in their work, guess what? They're going to be incredibly productive. And if they're incredibly productive and they're engaged in the work they're doing, guess what? You don't have to do. Yeah, that's right. You don't have to manage them. You have less management to do because those individuals are bought into what you do. So what we have to do is, if you recruitment as marketing, the whole process, right from the beginning, we're advertising to find the very best people. We want the very best people to come towards us. We want to be able to deselect the ones that are not right, find the ones that fit exactly with what we want, and then we fit exactly with what they want. Does that make sense? Recruitment's marketing. So gone are the days of doing this. Let's just get a job, find a job description and stick it on Indeed. This is your typical job description, your typical job advertisement, isn't it, on Indeed? How would you score this job advertisement in terms of this score for dissatisfaction? Do you remember that score we had to give of dissatisfaction times vision? Do you remember that? How would you score this in terms of hitting the emotional needs as you read through this, of understanding their dissatisfaction as to where they currently are at this moment in time, understanding their vision, helping to explain what your vision is for them, and overcoming their resistance? How would you score this? High or low? Is this a logical advertisement? Or is this an emotional advertisement that's hitting the mark with those individuals? What do you think? It looks fairly logical to me. We're just talking about the salary, the job title, how much you can earn, what days you're working, what you do in your job. Does that make sense? So what you're going to need to do is to look at in a different way as to how you go about putting your adverts together. It can't just be like this. If you are just like this, you are just like everybody else, and they will just compare you to everybody else. Remember we said before, if people are comparing you, comparison is based upon price. That's all it's based upon. Yeah. If they can see something different about you, the way in which you advertise, the way in which you explain the role, what's different about your business, all of a sudden we're in the realms of value. Yes, they need to look at the logical side of it. Is it paying enough to make me live? But they're going further than that, and they can see themselves in the role. They're now becoming emotionally engaged in coming along to work for you. So those adverts, those days are past. We're not going to go through exactly how to draw those adverts, but what I want you to understand is that marketing is all about defining who you want working for you. Okay, understanding why they want to come to work for you, explaining what it is that they're going to get, then working out where we're going to find those people in the greatest number and how we're going to communicate with them. That's marketing. Who, why, what, where, and how. Interesting, isn't it? This is turning into a marketing session in addition to a recruitment session, because recruitment is marketing. Okay, so let's get our mindset right, that what we're trying to do here is to attract people to come along and work for us. And that's your role as a business owner, is to, one of your key roles is to attract and retain the very best people out there. So you're going to have to become very good at marketing yourself, marketing your business, and getting those things we discussed earlier right, so people can see what your culture is, why they should come along and belong to your business, and what your vision is, and getting that matched up with them. Okay, so a little bit of learning to do here. When it comes to deciding who we want as an individual, what we suggest you do is, when you draw up your job description, yes, you're going to need to draw up your job description because you need to be very clear on what the role is and what their duties are. But more importantly, you're going to give some consideration to what qualities you're looking for in that individual, what kind of individual. Now, one of the tools that we help business owners to use is something called the DISC profiling system. You may have heard it before, you may never have heard it before. You may have heard of it as colors before. However you've heard of it, it's a way of us understanding how individuals behave. There are 4 key ways in which we behave as individuals. We're either outward facing, we're sort of out there, very fast paced, or we're inward facing. We'd like to take our time and we're not really extroverted. Does that make sense? We're task oriented, where we're focused on the task and getting the job in hand done, or we're people oriented and we're happy to bring people along with us. We belong in, not generally speaking, just in one of these boxes, but we're predominantly within 1 or 2 of these boxes. The D for dominant, I for influence, S for steady state, and C for conscientious. The job that we create, the job description that you create, or I'm going to call it a positional contract because it just describes a position on the organization chart. What will happen? That job will fall into a blend of 1 or 2 of these boxes. So when we're looking to recruit somebody, we're going to find that we need to blend the person we're looking for is going to fit within one of these boxes. And what we need to understand is how we identify those individuals on the DISC profile. A very powerful tool which can help you, first of all, describe the job, and then what sort of person do we need to do this job in this behavioral profile. And then when we're going through our recruitment process, we're able to match up that job with those individuals. We need somebody who's going to be comfortable in that job, not trying to fit themselves into one of these boxes. And by the way, we don't fit into one particular box. It may just blend across 1 or 2 of the boxes. As individuals, if we want to communicate well and work well within the team, we need to develop all of these attributes here. But we are predominantly one way or another. So let's take the C box. That's a conscientious individual. That's somebody who likes to take their time, look at the detail, and get on with the job without being disturbed. The D profile is somebody who, again, who likes to get the job done, focus on the task, well, getting on with the job. I may seem a little bit brusque. Doesn't mean I'm being rude. It's just that we're getting on with the job. How can I help you? What's next? And they're very fast-paced and outward going. Very easy taking the lead individual. The I profile, the influencer profile, is somebody who is really people-oriented, very people-oriented, very good with people, outward-facing, very fast-paced, usually somebody that's in the sales roles. That makes sense, yeah? Connecting with people really well. They're not going particularly slow. They're not looking at all the detail, but let's get this thing done. The S profile is a steady state individual who will slow down. They are people oriented, and when they get on with their job, they'll take into account everybody within the role, and they'll bring everybody else along with them at the right pace. They won't be going too fast. You get the picture. The DISC profile describes the individuals, you and I, as to how we behave. What you do is take your DISC profile and you say, right, this job I've got, which DISC profile do they fit within? Great, okay. As we're going through our applicants, we're going to make sure at some point in the interview process that they are in the right role because they fit perfectly within that. Now you've got somebody who sits naturally within the role. Does that make sense? So we can talk to you about how to use a DISC profile and explain it in a bit more detail and how that is a powerful tool in helping you to make the right decision. We're no longer guessing here, okay? We know exactly who we're looking for when it comes to the individual that we're looking for. Why they'd work for us and how we'd attract them. Again, we'd use a DISC profiling system to do that, okay? And what we've got here is a demonstration of the DISC profiles here of the individuals, okay? So what we've got as these individuals here is, so I just squeeze that down there you go, that's a bit better. Okay, is their profiles, D, I, S, and C. We've got keywords within each of those profiles. When it comes to putting together a job advert and hitting the mark with those individuals, what words do you think we should use in our job advertisement? What do you think? How about using the words here that are in this profile? The D, the I, the S, and the C. So if we're looking for somebody that's a D, with dominant personality, we'd use the words assertive, competitive, determined. A self-reliant individual is what we're looking for to fill that role. If we're looking for someone that's predominantly the S role, we look for somebody here that is alert, eager, flexible, mobile. We'd use those kinds of words in our job advertisement. If we're looking for somebody that's in the I profile, we use these words here: charming, influential, sociable. Does that make sense? This goes deeper than this, much deeper than this. But in terms of deciding exactly who it is and what they're looking for, we'd make sure that in our advertising for this role, we'd use expressions that are going to attract those particular individuals. Okay, this is all part of putting the advert together, making sure we're getting the right individual. Okay, so this is pulling away from the guessing game and getting pretty scientific about how we recruit people into our business. When it comes to where do we advertise, where do we advertise these people? Well, here's a question for you. How many marketing strategies are you currently using? In business in general, tend to find that most business owners have one or two, possibly three ways of generating new business. So normally it's word of mouth. A lot of business owners tell me they get business through word of mouth. Is that you? Yeah. A lot of business owners get word of mouth, a way of getting business. They also get business through a little bit of Facebook, a little bit of online. Something's worked for them there, and maybe some exhibitions, maybe possibly. Probably two or three ways of getting business. What we tell you when it comes to marketing actually is that to be really successful and grown, you need to be between 7 and 10 ways of generating business, and each of those needs to be operating at their optimum level. So you need to test and measure and get them working really well. Do you think it's any different when it comes to recruiting the best people? So go right back to the beginning of our conversation where we said, look, it's difficult to get hold of these people. Just can't get the right staff nowadays. You have to pay over the odds to get the people. And when they come, they're not the quality that we have. They're not trained people. Is that really true? Well, it is true if we only have one way of generating leads, one way of generating potential candidates. So how many marketing strategies are you using to find the right people? Are you just doing the one thing? Are you just sticking that ad on Indeed? Are you just using one recruitment agency? Or are you applying 3, 4, 5, 6 other ways of finding these individuals? How important is it to you to get this individual in your business? I'd imagine it's vitally important that you get the right person, you get them right first time, and they stick within your business and they stay within your business. Nobody likes to keep churning staff over 6 months, 12 months, 18 months later. You want the right people in the right seats, with the right disc profile, emotionally engaged with you in your business, getting on with their job so you can get on with your job of growing your business and getting on with your life. So how many marketing strategies are you using? Make a note right now. Write down the number that you use when it comes to recruiting people. Are you perhaps not fulfilling your full potential? Remember our chart at the beginning where we had potential versus performance? Is that getting in the way of you getting the right people, that you're not using the right amount of channels to get people within your business? So give some thoughts to 3 more. I'm going to give you actually 30 seconds just to write down 3 more ways, just 3 more ways to get recruitment, to get employees possibly into your business. Just think about it. 3 more ways. Just write them down. You probably got 2 already. You're probably using recruitment agency. You're probably using Indeed. Write down 3 more ways in which you can let other people know that you're looking for people to fill a post. I guarantee you'll find 3 just like that. Give you 10 or 15 more seconds to write those down. Okay, got that? So 3, that's 3. So now you should have 5 ways to start recruiting people. I guarantee you, following this session, you'll find another 2 or 3, and you'll find yourself up to 7 or 8 ways of advertising your role that you hadn't thought of before or that you hadn't been using. So let's just stretch ourselves a little bit in terms of where these individuals are. This is marketing. We're marketing for the best people to come along and working in our business. How do we go about recruiting people? Well, that's going to have a major impact on the individuals, the sort of individual you get working within your business, how you do it. What is your recruitment process like? Again, is your recruitment process the same as everybody else's? Send us your CV, fill in this application form and send that across to us. Or is it different? Does your recruitment process differentiate you and make this individual feel like, actually, do you know what? Coming to work for these guys isn't easy. There's something different about them, the way they're going about things. They're really searching for the best person for the role. All the stuff that they say about their vision and their purpose and their culture, I can actually see it because it's being demonstrated through the recruitment process. You see, our recruitment process is unique. When we come to recruiting people, our process is completely unique. We say to individuals, you want to come along and work for us, we're going to require you to send us your CV in, but we're going to require you to have a conversation with us beforehand. That conversation could be through a recorded message. When you call, you're going to hear a recorded message with me asking you a few questions. I'm going to ask you to answer those questions, and then we'll move forward from there. Or it could be out of the blue. You're going to get a call from me. That's it. I'm warning you now. You're going to get a call from me. I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 questions on the spot. Totally different. Our interview process is different. We go through a group interview process if the role requires it, where we have a number of people in the room. We interview them all together. And then we go through 2 or 3 of the screening processes to get the right person on board, to make sure they fit with everything that we need and that we fit what they need. Our recruitment process is entirely different to any other recruitment process. How about yours? What does yours look like? What are the various steps in your recruitment process? Are you following the same track as everybody else, or is it different? Is it something that stands out that makes the individuals believe that this is somewhere different? This is somewhere better for me to come along and work. They're explaining exactly what they do. So have a look at your recruitment process. How many steps have you got written down? Can you do that now? How many steps have you got? Just write it down. How many steps have you got written down for your process, and how can you change it? I'm going to encourage you to have a look at a book called Instant Team Building by Brad Sugars. I should have it here, actually. Instant Team Building by Brad Sugars. Here it is. There you go. There's my copy of it here now. Grab hold of this book and then give me a call, and I'll show you how best to use the process within here for finding yourself the very best people out there, okay, to go through this recruitment process as a marketing process so that you're getting this right virtually every time when you're getting the right individuals in your business. Getting these people in your business is incredibly important, and getting it right couldn't be more important. We already said right at the beginning that we get it wrong, it's costing us £18,000 because we're spending 6 months faffing and we're paying recruitment fees, and then we're having to do it again. Let's get it right. When it comes to the advertisement that we've put together, it's just like advertising in general, okay? We need to use what we call the AIDA model. Okay, so we need to grab the attention of the individual. You've got now 5, 6, 7 ways of recruiting people. Let's grab the attention of the individual. We need an attention-grabbing headline to draw them in. What's that attention-grabbing headline going to be based upon? Remember our formula for change? D times V, dissatisfaction times vision. Plus first steps have got to be greater than their resistance. They're currently where they are. That's the resistance. We want to pull them in by grabbing their attention using words, okay? Grabbing their attention and their interest using words that focus on their dissatisfaction and on the vision that they want for the future, okay? And then in the copy of the word, we then create the desire for them to come along and work for us by grabbing those words that are attached to their DISC profile, because the DISC profile perfectly fits the job and it perfectly fits the right person. Now it's like Lego. We're joining it all together, okay? And then we give them a call to action. We tell them exactly what they need to do to apply for this job. And we only want the right people. And our recruitment process, by the way, will be slightly different depending on where they are in the DISC profile. Okay, so we'll change it ever so slightly within the DISC profile to fit those individuals. We'll make it easy for them to take action. So we're drawing these individuals into us. Okay, so that's how to write a great ad. We're not going to go into detail, but I can talk to you more about that as we go through a recruitment process review with you. So recruitment is marketing. We need to have the right mindset around recruiting people. We need to understand that we're trying to attract individuals in our business and that they have an emotional need that needs to be filled. Yes, logical needs, but they have an emotional need to fill. I'm going to ask you just to take a moment just to write down your top 3 learnings from our session today and your number 1 action. What's the number 1 thing that you're going to do differently? Let's give you 10 or 15 seconds to write those down. What were your top 3 learnings? And from those top 3, what's your number 1 action? What's the thing you're going to take? You see, because we're called Action Coach. We're not called, wasn't that a great webinar, coach? Wasn't that a great slide deck, coach? Wasn't that a great session, coach? We're called Action Coach. So I want to know what action you're going to take. Drop me a comment in the comments box as to what action you're going to take, or send me a direct message if you'd like to, so I know exactly what action is that you're going to take. Any questions? I'm going to ask you to stick those in the box, or send me an email. Actually, when it comes to your questions, you can just send them directly to me here, jeffwilliams@actioncoach.com. That's my email address. So you can send me any questions that you've got in relation to the process that we've spoken about this morning and how you can apply it in your business. Send them directly to me, and I'll answer them out to all of the emails. For everybody that's been on the session this morning, if that's been helpful, but you'd like to look at it in a bit more detail, the next step is just to book a recruitment strategy review with me. Okay, so use the email address that I just gave you just then, and I'll happily sit down with you and have a review of your current strategy for recruitment and see if we can help you. If recruitment is a challenge for you, getting the right people on board is a challenge, let's have a sit down, let's have a chat and see if we can help you with that process. Aside from that, I'm going to invite you to join us whenever you want to. Starting at the bottom here, our next free workshop will be in a month's time. So we'll have another free workshop on this platform here. That next free workshop is going to be about time management. So make sure you stick it in your diary. Okay, it's the first Monday of each month, and we're going to have a session about time management and how you can get everything done in the right place. So join us on the next free workshop. You may, if you want to, start looking at joining one of our marketing masterclasses, which also happen once each month. Email me for the details of those. Or perhaps you might want to be my guest at one of our monthly elite entrepreneurs meetings, which we hold every month at a fine hotel just outside of Chester. Our next one is actually next week. It's on the 15th of March, and we're going to be going through a quarterly planning session, showing business owners how to plan. So you're welcome to come on the first session of that as a guest of mine. Again, to gain access to all of this stuff, I'm just going to ask you to drop me an email. Let's keep it really, really simple. jeffwilliams@actioncoach.com. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you offline, personally, about your business. So remember, recruitment is marketing. Money's not a motivator, it's an influencer. And yes, you do have the skill set, or you can build a skill set to get out there and find the best people to work with in your business. Because remember, systems run your business, your people, brilliant people run your systems, and you lead your people. So you need to be actively involved in developing your mindset and your skill set around recruiting the very best people. I hope that's been really helpful for you today. I look forward to seeing you on our next session. Take care. Have a brilliant week.